Good afternoon on Ted's Tours. It's the 23rd of July and here I am on a busy road in Barnsley. Donkey Dave's laid flat out on Transformer. After sneaking in at Durham with his yellow band, he ended up in Reporters. So since then, after a few tipples, he's been over and out. But Ted's Tours is here, and I'm here at the monument in Barnsley, and it's dedicated to the Oaks Colliery disaster of the 12th of December 1866, where 361 men and boys got killed. Some say 383. But what we've found out is 361, and yeah, 3, 4, 5, 6 explosions of that mine on that day. I'd just like to tell you a bit more about the Oaks Colliery. In 1846, 20 years before the biggest explosion in England, what killed the biggest miners, which were 361, and in 1913 there was a disaster down in South Wales. I can't pronounce the name, so sorry for the Welsh people, but which killed 429. I'll just go back to 1846, which were 20 years before this disaster, and there was an explosion at Oaks Colliery then, and it killed 73 men and boys. About 10 years later, the miners at Oaks, concerned about safety at the pit, came out on strike for 10 weeks. During that 10 weeks, by the mine owners, they were starved back to work and blackleggers brought in, which, as we know from the 84-85 strike, was called scabs. In any case, after 10 weeks on strike, as in all mining communities of the day, the pit owners owned the houses and they owned the shops and everything, and they kicked the miners out. Desperation, starvation led the miners back to work at Oaks. About 10 years after we had this explosion, it wasn't till a year later, after 1866, October time, 67, that they retrieved about 150 of the bodies, because the shafts were just filled in, and they started to go back into the pit. The pit was just down the road here at Ollie Mill, and it linked up with Barnsley Main Colliery. I was told once by an old collier who worked there, I don't know if they broke into Oaks, and there were still people like mummified, what they found, and when the fresh air got to them, they just disintegrated. I don't know how true that is, but it just shows you there was between 10 and 67-year-old men and boys what got killed in this disaster. The legislation, what looked into it, that health and safety, none at all, didn't exist, and was well known as a fire damp colliery. Just going down into the main road, and Barnsley Main and Ollie Mill is about a mile and a half down there. And this was erected, I'll just read this here on Ted's Tours. Oaks explosion 1866. This monument was erected 1913 by Samuel Joseph Cooper as a tribute to the memory of Parkin Jeffcott and other heroes at the Rescuers Party who lost their lives owing to further explosions on December the 13th, 1866. They reckoned after the massive explosion there was 6, 7, 8, up to 12 explosions carried on for about a week. That's why the shafts got filled in. Also to commemorate the single bravery of John Edward Manmate and Thomas William Hamilton in descending the pit and rescuing the sole survivor on December 14th, 1866. So we're looking like 2 days after the massive explosion. On the day of the explosion, they did rescue 20 miners, but obviously wasn't on left. 1866, and like I said, in them days the mine owners owned everything, the shops, the houses, but can't imagine things like that happening, but so sad. One explosion killed 361 miners. Like I said before, I'm not in favour of nuclear power. On that day, 361 got killed. Nuclear power today, Chernobyl comes to mind. It's not 300, it's 300,000, 3 million it affects. No, not nuclear at all. So here in Barnsley, on my own turf, on Ted's Doors, I'll be seeing thee. Bye for now. Ted's Doors, see thee.